Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm literally Lizzie. I haven't been on for quite some time now because I moved. And now that I'm finally settled into my new place, I feel like it's the perfect time to get back to booktube. So today I'm going to be doing my February wrap-up. So without further ado, let's just jump right into this video. The first book that I read this month was The Rhino with Glue on Shoes, edited by Lucy H. Spelman. So this book is actually written by a ton of veterinarians. Each chapter is dedicated to these doctors helping their animal patients. Within each chapter, you go through a case with them, and then at the end, they'll give you advice, like what to do or what not to do. It was just really informative, and this book was just so good. I give this book 5 stars, and I would definitely love to reread it. You just really get a sense of how deeply these doctors care for animals, and I just love this book. So the reason why I picked up this book was because it was actually recommended to me by an animal keeper at the LA Zoo. She told me to pick up this book, and I did. It's like one of my favorite books now about animals. Highly recommend it. Go read this if you're interested in animals, veterinarians, or zoos. The next book that I read was Bossypants by Tina Fey. This book was so funny. The reason why I picked it up was because I was looking for an audiobook. This just fit the bill perfectly. So we follow Tina Fey as she grows up. We start when she's young, and it's really interesting. We just go with her on this journey as she grows up and finds herself a career at Saturday Night Live. And it's so funny because everyone's telling her that you look like Sarah Palin, and I remember like seeing all those skits a long time ago, so it's just funny like reading it. It's a good book. I give it 4 stars. The next book that I read was Are We Smart Enough to Know How Smart Animals Are by Frans the Waal. The pace was excellent. It kept moving along. I wasn't bored at all, I guess because this is one subject that I'm really into. One of the themes of this book was, you shouldn't really compare animals to humans because the cognition field is just so vast. Like it's not, let's just rank them. Who's smarter than who? It's like, no, it doesn't work like that. Everyone has different specialities. I found this book was like so engaging, and I was just so into it the entire time. I finished this book like really fast. Each animal is really adapted to their environment, and they are as smart as they need to be to survive. So I gave this book 5 stars out of 5 stars. The next book that I read was Vulture, The Private Life of an Unloved Bird by Fallon. I absolutely adored this book. Going into this book, I had no idea anything about vultures. Now, when someone asks me, what's your favorite animal? I'm gonna be like, the turkey vulture. So before, I thought that these birds killed. People really don't like vultures, or it has a really bad connotation to it. I know like a bunch of like Disney movies portray them as like evil and conniving, but in reality they're so awesome and majestic. They're just so important to the ecosystem. One of the points that this book illustrates like so fine is when hunters shoot deer, they use lead ammunition, and then once the deer dies, it's left there, and the vultures consume the dead carcass, which is fun because that's their natural behavior. But since there's lead in the deer, the vulture gets that contamination in its own body and dies of lead poisoning. So to fix this, I really think it's important to have hunters use copper ammunition instead of lead. They should make the switch to help these vultures because they are really endangered. So many vultures are being killed by humans just because they don't understand them, they don't like them, they think they're a nuisance, and that's really not the case. These birds are wonderful animals who help clean the ecosystem. So this book really taught me a lot. I give this book 5 out of 5 stars. Highly recommended if you're interested in learning about this unloved bird. The next book that I read was A Beast, The Color of Winter, The Mountain Goat Observed by Douglas H. Chadwick. So I picked up this book because I'm really into goats, and I wanted to learn more about them. I gave this book 4 stars out of 5 stars because although it's very informative, it is so dense. It reads like a textbook, and it took me a while to get through this. I think I started in January, but I barely finished this book this month. And although it's relatively like short, the print is kind of small and it covers the whole page. And there's the thing I liked about this book was that there was photographs, but it's in black and white, so not that good. But they also have like graphs and stuff. I learned a lot about the mountain goat, which is different than domestic goats, and I was trying to go towards that route, learning about domesticated goats, because that's what I work with. But you know, there's some similarities between them, but there's also a lot of differences, so I had to keep that in mind. The next book that I read was This Cruel Design by Emily Suvada. This is the second book to This Mortal Coil. The reason why I picked this book up was because the first book was so good. I think I gave this book 3 stars out of 5 stars because I felt like the first book was way better. I felt like this book kind of dragged on. I was still interested to see what was going to happen, but it was okay. So it's a science fiction book about a girl. She just has a whole lot of baggage going on with her. Like, she has like the world on her shoulders. She has to literally save the world. Everyone is literally blowing up if they get infected by this virus. Everyone has gen tech. They have this thing on their arm where they can have a bunch of coding. You could do anything you want. You could change the way you appear, look completely different, but the thing is you can't like extend your life. There's these gene hackers that are trying to figure out a way to stop this virus that's spreading around and like completely decimating the world. We just follow our main character Kat as she tries to locate this person who she thinks has the answers, but little does she know she might be the only one that can stop this. That's basically the premise of it. I don't know if I would continue with the third book, if there is one. The next book that I read was The Grapes of Wrath by John Steinbeck, and let me preface this with saying that I love John Steinbeck, but this book was such a downer. It's about the Dust Bowl and everyone searching for work, and it's just so sad because throughout the whole book they're just starving and just begging for work, and I just want to help them so bad. I really like this book though, even though it's so depressing. I ended up giving this book 4 stars out of 5 stars. And the last book that I will be reading this month is Elantris by Brandon Sanderson. I am currently reading this book. I am on page 200 and so far it is so good. I didn't expect that. Like, I do see some similarities between this book and the Stormlight Archive, but this book was written way before that one, so I kind of wish I read this one before I read that, but so far it's a standalone. Hopefully he continues with the series, but my sources say he probably won't, so that's a downer. The first chapter is so funny. He wakes up. Okay, I'm not gonna tell you. Never mind. I don't want to spoil anything. I don't know how to like talk about a book without spoiling it. So never mind. We follow different perspectives, and I just like books that do that. Like, so then they just have different chapters, the main characters, and hopefully they'll meet at the end. I haven't gotten to that part yet. They're still separate, but I could just like see it already. Nowadays I tend to read like a lot of animal nonfiction, but it's books like these that make me remember why I love fantasy in the first place. So these are some of the books that I read this month. Let me know down in the comments what you read and if you are interested in reading any of these books, because I highly recommend you read all of them. Actually, I actually liked all of the books I read this month. So thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you next time. Bye!